Morning, everybody. How you doing today? In this episode of Mornings with Mark, I want to talk to you about sort of your second step or your half step into getting started with cybersecurity. And the reason being is that quite a few people have reached out to me in the last few days talking about, hey, I got a security certification, or I'm about to write my first security certification. What should I do next? How do I get that next thing going? Well, a reality check first. And I don't mean this to be a Debbie Downer, but this is important to understand. A cybersecurity certification, something like a CompTIA Security Plus or a GSEC from SANS, some basic entry-level certification is not going to be enough to get you rolling in a good cybersecurity job. It's a part of the process, absolutely. It's an external validation that you have a certain level of knowledge and understanding of the security domain, and that's absolutely important. But on its own, that's not going to be enough to get things going. So the reason for that is a couple, is multiple fold, because a security certification is good as a part of a puzzle, but it's not the whole thing, because mainly that's just testing, especially the entry-level certs, are simply testing your multiple choice answers to certain basic security questions. Okay, so it's not enough to say, is this person going to be a good analyst? Do they have the principles behind it? Can they learn quick enough? It doesn't answer the core questions for me that make a real good cybersecurity professional. So here's a suggestion, and this is a little harder for people, but it's absolutely critical for cybersecurity, and it shows multiple things at the same time, which is great. You want to double up on the activities as far as proof points that you can handle a job in cybersecurity. So one of the biggest things that I've talked about multiple times on the show is sort of that thought process, that mental model. Can you take a security problem or take a general IT problem and break it down into its parts and have a good perspective around the cybersecurity or privacy issues around it? So one of the things that I think would be a good start, and again, this is just my opinion, my suggestion, is writing up an analysis of a particular vulnerability or security issue, whether that's a breach, whether that's something very public in a privacy failure or a vulnerability, writing up your thought process behind why it's important, how it worked, generally how it fits into a larger context, and putting that out there on something like medium.com, or if you have a personal blog or peer list, anything that will get it seen or that you can point to publicly. Now, the reason why I think this is a really good idea is that A, it shows you've got the ability to communicate through written word, which is critical in cybersecurity. It also shows your thought process behind tackling a security problem. So if you take the latest remote code execution vulnerability in something like Apache Struts and analyze why this is a problem, call out some of the challenges around mitigation, around deploying the patches in a development process against the potential impact given the widespread deployment of something like Apache Struts, that will show your thought process. If you do a couple of those, then you'll have a nice little body of work, and these are just for you, for your own edification, a nice little body of work to point to, not just for potential employers, but also for others in the community to help you out, to help you learn. You need to learn by doing in cybersecurity. That's very, very critical. And if you don't have a role in cybersecurity, you need to basically cherry pick these projects to figure out what you want to do, or to start to get examples of you working through this stuff so that you can do it and learn. It's not going to be perfect, but you need to show that you've got that ability to break that problem down. That's absolutely critical. And for me, if I'm hiring somebody, that's far more telling than saying, oh, I've just got these 4 certs. Well, it's saying like, hey, I've got a certification, I can play that game. I've got all this other IT experience, or this experience in something else that's relevant, like risk management. So, hey, I was a security guard, so I'm understanding risk, or I was a financial controller for a company, or, whatever the case may be, relate it to a cybersecurity principle, but also saying, hey, I've also got these analysis that I've posted online to get feedback from the community, also just as practice, to show my ability to tackle a security problem and then to relate the perspective and the solution to other stakeholders within the organization. And because I'm just trying to get started in cybersecurity, I thought it would be useful to have this public so that not only could I get feedback and learn from the community, but also I could show people that, hey, I can do this. I can tackle these problems, and I can explain why they're important and why we need to take action. I think that's probably going to push you forward more than getting another certification. especially if you're knocking on doors and finding not so great of a response. So again, we talked about that in another episode, where you should get out there and network as much as possible. Go to free meetups, go to OWASP, go to ISC squared meetups, go to B-Sides, go to anything out there. There's tons of great free security stuff in pretty much every major city, and a lot of the smaller cities as well. So it's never one thing that's going to get you started in cybersecurity, but I think if you tackle this on multiple fronts, it can help. And really getting something like an analysis out there does not have to be 50 pages. Something that's in like the 15 to 2,500 word range would be comprehensive enough to show people that you can do this, especially if you can pound out a couple of these in a reasonable time. It shows people that, hey, I can actually put pen to paper, I can put the rubber to the road, I can do this far more than just saying, hey, I've got the checkbox of being XYZ certified. So what do you think? Let me know. Hit me up online at MarkNCA.